After a 3-year hiatus, Edwin Diaz is back as the best closer in baseball. In 2018, Edwin Diaz won the Mariano Rivera Award as the best closer in the American League, saving 57 of 89 Seattle Mariners wins. The 57 saves ties him for the second most saves in a season with Bobby Thigpen of the Chicago White Sox, and 5 short of the 62 that Francisco Rodriguez had for the Angels in 2008. During the 2018 offseason, Edwin Diaz was traded to the New York Mets as part of a 7-team deal that saw him and Robinson Cano going to the Big Apple, and these 5 players going to the Seattle Mariners. Unfortunately for the Mets, Diaz was nowhere near the pitcher he'd been in 2018. On the surface, his strikeouts per 9 were still great, his walks were up but still decently low for a closer, and his average fastball was actually slightly higher than it was in 2018. However, his home runs per 9 nearly quadrupled, and his FIP and ERA minus were nearly tripled. What was the cause of such a giant gap in the results for Diaz in 2019? First, let's look at the splits and see what we can find. So obviously the first thing you notice is that both left and right-handed batters are hitting Diaz better in 2019. But the big thing that stands out is just how much more right-handed hitters were able to improve against Diaz. And just to compare, here's the 2022 season for Diaz so far. We can see that the slugging percentage against right-handed batters is better than it's ever been. He's clearly made a big adjustment in his approach to right-handed batters. Let's head over to Baseball Savant to see if a deeper look at the numbers can show us what that adjustment is. When we look at the 2018 and 2019 seasons by pitch type, Diaz started throwing more fastballs and fewer sliders in 2019. In addition, if we put the heat maps for sliders versus right-handed batters from 2018 beside the ones from 2019, we can see that the slider is tending to be a bit more high in the strike zone and a bit less on the hands of a right-handed batter. Same thing when we look at Diaz against left-handed batters. Again, the heat map pretty much stopped showing sliders in on the hands of a lefty and less balls in the dirt. Pitch distribution also looks like it played a role in Diaz's struggles. Notice the gap in the middle between the 2018 season compared to the 2019 season. The smaller gap between these two means that there's going to be more pitches that a hitter's swing is on plane for, even if they guess wrong at what the pitch might be. It's only a 1 mile-an-hour gap between the previous year, but that's still more than a 14% decrease from the previous season. Now let's look at 2022 and see what turned it around for Diaz. The slider usage has gone way up from 33% to 55%, and it's being thrown way more in on the hands of a right-handed batter and low and in. To left-handed batters, Diaz is back throwing the ball outside the strike zone a bit more and keeping it down and in a lot more. The fastball and slider pitch speed difference is also back at 8 miles an hour, not to mention that both are 2 miles an hour faster. This last pitch distribution graph really spells out why Diaz is so tough now. 55% of the time it's a slider, 45% of the time it's a fastball, and it's a strike roughly 50% of the time. The slider's a strike 43% of the time and the fastball 55%. You're basically flipping a coin about whether it's a fastball or a slider, and then flipping a coin about whether it'll be a strike. It's clearly paying dividends because Diaz is putting up an even better year than he did in 2018. He's striking out an insane 18 batters per 9, has an ERA under 2, a FIP under 1, and his FIP minus is the 5th lowest in the 2000s of any reliever. What do you guys think? Is Edwin Diaz the best closer in the game right now? Let me know in the comments and don't forget to subscribe.